Hello and welcome to another segment of Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Jamie Johnson, the government and political host, and today we have our guest who is a fairly new employee of the city of Hudson, Brentt Michalek. Brentt, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate this opportunity to talk with everybody.
You bet. You're not the first administrator. We should say your job is city administrator for the city of Hudson.
Yes, it is. I took this job back in June, and it's been very rewarding, very exciting community to be part of.
Well, yeah, I want to get into that a little bit, but let's, as far as your personal background, get to know. I don't know, you might be the fourth administrator that I've interviewed over the last, 17 years or so.
Sure.
But, it's kind of the behind the scenes. People are familiar with the mayor. It's a political job, elected and everything. Same thing with the city councilman. But you're a full-time position. They're planning and right alongside, shoulder to shoulder with the political leaders, correct?
Yes, I do stay in the background. I've always said pictures are for politicians, so I do stay in that background, and I take my cues and my direction from the city council, and that is my job to give them enough information about particular topics, whatever it might be. They make the decision, and it's my job to ensure that their decision comes to fruition.
Okay. And before we get your assessment of the situation here in Hudson, a little bit about your personal background. I understand that you grew up in Green Bay.
Yes, yep. I grew up very big Packer fan, just 800 yards essentially north of the stadium. So grew up in the shadows of Lambeau Field. So
great.
Made a good childhood out of that.
Well, you made half of our viewers happy.
There you go. The other half, not so much.
You probably realize this is kind of a 50-50
Yep.
town, but
Yep.
because of our location. So obviously northeastern Wisconsin is where you have your roots, and then as far as your education, where was that at?
Yeah, education at UW Green Bay, one of the UW system universities. Got my undergraduate and master's degree at UW Green Bay, and followed through with PhD work at UW Milwaukee.
Okay, and the areas of study, like your major and so forth, what were those?
Yeah, urban and regional economic theory. So essentially administrative type work, understanding the planning and understanding the growth of communities and the economic value of the communities and how to grow and maintain essentially maintain communities.
Right, and so trying to get that big picture and how you achieve goals over a period of years.
Yes, exactly.
All right, and as far as, so I think we were talking off camera, the 90s is when you were getting your degrees and so forth. So you're a little bit younger than me.
Yes.
About 10 years or so.
Yep. My teenage years were spent in the 80s and college years in the 90s. And definitely a different perspective. I mean, I have come on board here, and I think my career's gone by in a flash. I'm I think one of the oldest employees in the city. So,
well, and we talked
one of those things, you get a different perspective, I guess.
Right. Yeah. There are some people like me that get in a job and stay there for almost 35 years, but the city administrators, because they are tied to politics, you get change in board, you get change in mayor, and then sometimes you do what you can in that job, and then it's time for somebody else to take over. So just like some of the places you were telling me off camera, Sauk County, so Wisconsin, as well as Michigan, is that right?
Yes, I spent 6 years in Michigan, a county in Michigan called Emmett County. It's at the tip of the Mitt, where the Mackinac Bridge touches down in the Lower Peninsula. That's the start of Emmett County. So, very nice place to be. Very remote and a little touristy, but it was a very nice place to be.
And sandwiched
as well.
around that was work in Sauk County.
Yes, yep. Between Emmett County, I went to Sauk County, Wisconsin, brought my family back from Michigan to Wisconsin to get closer to family be part of the community down there. There was closer to Madison, impact from Madison on the politics and the direction of government was pretty heavy in Sauk County from the Madison area.
Right.
That was all part of the Wisconsin Dells and tourism
Sauk
area
being
down there.
adjacent to Dane County, right?
Yes, yep, exactly. So a lot of influences there, and it was a good place to be as well.
And then you were in Park Falls, though, before you came to Hudson.
Yes, yep, that was Park Falls,
Can't
full-time
get
city
more
administrator.
northern Wisconsin there, right?
No, I think I've been around quite a bit. The remote piece of Park Falls, I don't think there's very few things near Park Falls.
Right, right.
But it was a beautiful place to be. Great, environmental area, big woods, a lot of lumber industry going on.
All right, so then you came to Hudson. Tell me a little bit about the decision to come this far west in Wisconsin compared to where you've been.
Yeah, well, the primary decision to come to Hudson was to get closer to a larger metropolitan area for my family. My son is autistic. He's an autistic child, and there were great resources here. So we knew when he got into his beginning teenage years, it was time for us to find other places for him. And the school system here and everything was ideal, right? So we were very selective about where we chose to go and apply. I think I only applied for like 3 or 4 different places, and Hudson was clearly on the top of our list because of the resources that were here for him. And that's one of the main reasons. So it's family oriented.
Yep, and you said near more urban area. Hudson being about 15,000 population, does that fit smaller size compared to what you've had experience in population centers and where you've administrated?
It fits right in that same ballpark.
Okay.
It's not one of the smaller communities that I've been a part of. Park Falls was only 2,400 people.
Right.
But when you came into Baraboo and other places, you were at 10 to 15,000. So this is kind of my comfortable spot. This size of a community is where I truly enjoy. That's where I think you can make and see the most impact of decisions that a board does. You can see that on a grander scale in a smaller community.
Okay, so you come into Hudson, you take their offer of employment and move your family here. So
Yep.
You mentioned your son, who's a freshman, and then you have a daughter who's now started college.
Yep, son's a freshman here at the high school, and my daughter, she is a freshman in college. So she started UW Green Bay, and now she's going to transfer. We didn't exactly know where we'd be, but she'll transfer to River Falls here and be a little closer to.
Well, that's the one advantage of the UW system. That's pretty easy to do that.
Yeah, they transfer easy. So she's looking forward to staying at home and going to college down in River Falls. So
excellent. So you get to Hudson. Your start date was June 2nd.
yes.
And so you've got a little more than 6 months into the job. Mm-hmm. And so what's your assessment of Hudson as far as the state of Hudson, and maybe kind of compare it with your experience of other municipalities? How is Hudson, its internal government, staffed?
Well, Hudson definitely runs a lean government system. The employees definitely take on multiple tasks and multiple jobs throughout the day. I think everybody, I've been blessed, the employees and the directors that are here in Hudson, they really have complete dedication to the community. They've been very welcoming of me and my ideas coming in, and they're very flexible. They realize of where they're at and the need to run as lean as they possibly can. And they're very mindful. I've been through my first budget with the community. Everyone pitched in to make sure that we could keep the line nice and straight for that budget itself. So we never, the budget did not raise
Okay.
F. a fraction maybe.
Right.
So they're used to running lean, and they're they're dedicated employees. I can tell that right off the bat.
And I don't know, how does, I'm assuming Hudson would compare a little bit more affluent maybe on the percentage wise. I know being on the school board, we have a lower percentage of free and reduced lunch families that qualify for that than compared to the average community in Wisconsin. So Hudson has gotten that reputation to be higher, a little bit higher incomes, higher property values.
Yes, and you really you see that throughout the community as far as home values and personal values, right? You see that Hudson is definitely a community where a lot of people want to be and be part of. And you're right, the average resident within the city of Hudson are very aware of the things that government does and does for them. Whereas in a lot of other communities that I have been in, they don't seem they don't seem to understand the benefits of what are provided by the government functions.
Right.
So here they definitely understand that, and they know where their dollars are going.
Okay. So, every community, I mean, there's challenges because of revenue caps and so forth, and budgets come down to priorities. How would you assess the priorities in Hudson? Are there any areas that need beefing up, so to speak? Other areas that maybe need to be rolled back, Eddie?
Well, I think when it comes to fire, I think we don't have a full-time fire department here. That is definitely needed in a community our size. In order to diminish response time or reduce response times, we do need full-time fire. I haven't seen a community of this size not have a full-time fire department. So I think that's one thing that we can expect maybe going forward, probably in the next 3 to 5 years, is something that we would need to start focusing on.
Right. For folks that have been here for more than 20 years, they still kind of think of Hudson as a community of less than 10,000 people. But we're not anymore. We're now 15,000. And so you're saying once you get to that size, you should have at least some full-time firemen.
Absolutely. It's always, you're right about the size-wise. A lot of it, and I've noticed that here, is we think of ourselves here as a very small community, and the volunteer, which they're great here. I mean, there's a lot of volunteering going on throughout the community, but when it comes to even your fire department volunteers, it's tough during the daytimes to bring people in for fire calls. And so if we have some sort of full-time fire during the day and then maybe volunteer at night or even on weekends, we might be able to cover better. So that's just one of the things that I've noticed that we'll probably have to edge toward in the future.
Yeah, generally when people pick, there are people who are big town people, like to live in large cities, and there's rural people that like to have room and acres between them and their neighbor.
Sure.
But when they pick a community, the primary responsibilities of the city government is public protection and keeping the streets up, maintained.
Exactly.
And how are we in shape for that?
Well, as we continue to add subdivisions and industrial parks and things like that, we're almost at our limit as far as the physical boundaries of the city, right? Being stretched to that point, we really haven't expanded even our Department of Public Works to include all those additional new cities and new subdivisions for snow plowing. So they haven't added one new personnel in probably 10, 12 years, I believe it was.
Okay.
Realize, well, we've added a whole lot of new streets.
As long as we have winters like last.
As long as we have winters like last time, you're right. We're probably okay. But we do know that DPW does a great job. Our Public Works Director does a great job of managing time. But there's some things that kind of fall off to the side a little bit. When the Emerald Ash Borer came along, we have $250,000 worth of trees that we still have to cut down. That's the cost to cut all those trees down. If they had a crew member or two more, they probably could have whittled away at that. So we just shift that dollars from doing it internally to paying outside to do it. So it goes from internal to more of the free market out there, and we'll hire somebody to do that job. So there's two ways to run lean, and the way we run lean here is by hiring outside help when we need to take care of some of those things.
Right. I mean, some municipalities get by on their budgets by neglecting certain areas, pushing off needed road maintenance, construction, that type of thing. Hudson has, already Second Street and Vine Street are main arteries, and those have been worked on in the last, 6-7 years. But you still have all the side streets and so forth. So how is our 5-year plan on the infrastructure look?
Well, we do a 5-year capital improvement plan, but we have done a 10-year, which is due to expire here in, we did it in 2018, it's due to expire in 2028, which was to increase the capital improvement costs to help some of those streets that you were talking about. The reason why we were able to do Vine Street and some of those others is, first, we go for federal dollars, right, and try to get additional monies from the state and other grant locations to stretch what we do have. But they started a overall capital improvement plan push to add tax dollars to the capital improvement side of the budget to be able to do streets and roads and things. So every 2 years we take out a new borrowing, right, a new bond or whatever it might be. We take out a new piece of borrowing and we pay that off over a period of a couple of years, right? So every couple of years we're able to compile what we have and do $3 million worth of road work, right? The plan was by 2028 to expand that to about $5 million a year worth of road work, right? That sets you up on a pretty good rotation for the major arteries and helps somewhat with some of the side streets as you go along. So there was a plan. They're following through with the plan. It expires in 2018 or 2028, and we'll have to look at it and reassess it and figure out where the values go, because the miles of street that you were able to do in 2018 is not the same as the miles of street that you can do in 2028, right? So we'll probably have to continue to add to the capital improvement side. But as we continue to grow, we need to continue to add to that piece.
Speaking of growth, and what kind of challenges? We've got the natural boundaries, the St. Croix River out to the west. We've got North Hudson and Lake Malibu to the north. So the only way that Hudson can grow is east and south. And so what do you see as the likelihood of the need for annexation, whether it's commercial or residential?
Well, by example, this year's net new construction, so the overall new construction of the community, only increased by 1.5%. The growth was much faster in the previous 5 to 10 years. They saw upwards of 20% growth just a few years ago. The reason why you have that loss of growth is there's not as much land
the industrial parks are all full.
The industrial parks are full. The residential areas that you would expand into are already starting to fill up. You see that growth on a continuous basis throughout the community. But unless the community continues to expand and grow, to grow its tax base, you end up with diminishing returns, right? So instead of being able to expand, we had 1.5% new growth to add to our tax base last year. If we start to go into negative value, then you have less money to be able to do the roads and other things, right? So you have to continue to expand boundaries as a municipality in order to continue to add.
It's not like there's not demand for it either. There's definitely demand.
There is. There's our community development director is constantly working through conversations with different developers, pounding on the door for locations for manufacturing and residential and commercial So
That's one of the downsides to creating a great place where everyone wants to live, is that everyone wants to live there.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's high demand.
Well, and it's interesting. You were talking before. You see in the city of Hudson, there's two types of, or two parts of the community, right? You have the kind of homogeneous zone that you see everywhere in the United States. All of the commercial, the customary commercial strip with the festival foods, the market, all the little fast food places, the Targets, the Menards stores. You see that everywhere, right? The thing that Hudson has and is unique, and I know the plan that they have been working on or just completed, is the unique downtown area that we have along the St. Croix River, and the work they've done on the park and in that area. We have these two pieces of Hudson, and one is that charming small town community, and the other is the everywhere USA type of place, right? And I think the residents here want to have both. So
Right.
it's really maintaining your downtown and the special piece that we have here in Hudson, and still continuing to grow and expand and offer all of the stuff that everybody wants within the community, which
Right.
is all of those commercial pieces.
Well, and you have experience in multiple communities across a couple of states. You know, and the recipe for a good community is strong schools, good infrastructure, good police department. So do you see anything missing or that needs substantial improvement here in Hudson?
You know, there's nothing that I can really think of offhand. I think overall the healthcare, you're right next to the city, so you have you're within 20-minute reach of any healthcare that you possibly need. I think we're great with commercial
Recent
parts.
substantial increase in that healthcare too with Hudson Physicians.
With the Hudson Physicians, and I know there's some continued expansion there, and the hospital system there.
Yes.
Our ambulance system is great here as well. It's a very fortunate location for a community like this, with all of the resources that it does have.
All right, well, very good. So we'll probably have you back once you've had a full year under your belt. But is there, if people have questions, how do they reach out to you?
Call my office, show up at the door and ask to talk to me. I love talking with people. I'll go through anything that they want to go through. I always do this. Anybody wants to or has any questions on the budget or how things operate, come and talk to me.
What's the number that they can reach you at?
They can always reach me at the City Hall offices.
Okay, so they can leave a message at the front desk, whatever.
Right at the front desk there.
Yeah.
They can always.
It's not like you're sitting around doing nothing, waiting for people to come in and talk.
No. They can always leave me an email as well. Just B Michalek, BMICHALEK at hudsonwi.gov.
So call City Hall or send you a direct email.
direct email.
And if everything's on the website there anyway.
Yep. And I respond to every call that I get. So
Excellent. Well, Brentt, it was nice to meet you. And that's Brentt with 2 T's. I didn't point that out earlier.
It is Brentt with 2 T's. It was parents' choice. So
Yep. Oh, very good. Well, it's great to meet you, and thank you for coming to Hudson, bringing your expertise, and look forward to getting to know you more and have you come back on the show sometime.
No, I appreciate it, and thank you for having me. And I'm excited to continue forward with Hudson, and there's a lot of good things here, a lot of good things that'll yet to come. So
excellent, great to hear. And I want to thank our viewers for watching another segment of Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Jamie Johnson. Keep watching.